So we used to have to convince people, that they needed AI in their contact center, right? And it was a real uphill battle. Like it was hard to do. Now everyone needs it and everyone has a budget for it.
Welcome to the Global Experience. We explore the intersection of transformation and innovation with customer service and collections and the evolving world of customer and employee experience. Join keynote speakers, industry mavericks, CX and debt collections experts and influencers as we uncover what's shaping the future. Let's get into it. Sawubona, welcome, and hello. Today we're diving into the messy, exciting, and sometimes uncomfortable reality of AI in the contact center. Not the glossy keynote version, the real world version, where the agents juggle 5 systems, customers are already frustrated, and leaders are asking if AI can actually fix it. With us is Jeff Janzen from Laivly, a company working with Newton to make AI practical, fast, and dare we say human. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks, Bryce. Excited to be here.
Yeah, how are things going? How's it up there in the northern hemisphere?
It's turning into fall right now. Sadly, this is like our last little bit of summer. I'm in Winnipeg, Canada, which is the middle, despite what folks in Toronto would tell you. Yeah, it's still nice here, but leaves are falling.
Okay, brilliant. That's actually one of my favorite seasons. And from what I've seen, I've never been to Canada yet, but from what I've seen, the autumn, well, what we call autumn, you call fall. It's
Yeah.
very beautiful. So I'm
It,
a little bit jealous.
it is, yeah. It's very nice. Our spring, summer, and fall is fantastic. If you can get through the minus 35s of the winter, it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. But tell me, Jeff or Jans, I think we might go with both. I know you go with both at Lively.
Yeah,
You've been at Lively for 7 years. Can you tell us first and foremost, who Lively is and what's changed in those 7 years that you've been from product to VP of Strategic Growth and Partnerships?
Sure. Yeah. Lively's changed a lot in that time. So 7 years ago, Lively was a branded department within a large global BPO, and we were effectively just a technology team, relatively small technology team, building 2 different products. One of them became Sid, now our AI platform, and you know back then, relatively small team building products, building in-house tools for a BPO, but we very quickly realized there was a market outside of our BPO, and so in 2021 we became our own company, fully independent, and um, since then the company's grown a lot, and I think the biggest difference I've seen is really in our product itself. So early days, you'd build everything as a POC, right, for inside your own walls, and then we started investing in making it a platform so that we could rapidly deploy it. We went from months-long implementations to now, days to weeks. I think on average, we're 2 to 3 weeks from signing to fully implemented on the floor, agents trained up and using it. And so that's been a big change for us. And as an organization, we've matured, right? I went from product to building our solutions and customer success departments with a few other very talented individuals here at Lively. We kind of created that practice here, and then lately I've been getting more into the sales side as I work on growth and partnerships. And now we're very much in that world, partnering with great companies like Newton to bring more innovation to the contact center floor, and still maintaining our roots. That's something that hasn't changed. Is we were born in the contact center, and so everything we build kind of solves a real world pain point, and it's not all technology, right? Sometimes it's playbooks for operations, because without that, the technology just never starts working. People don't use it, they don't know how to optimize it, things like that. And so everything we're building is still it feels like it's built by a contact center company. We go on the floor with agents all the time, right? We're working, our teams, my customer success teams are working with ops leaders constantly. And so that, I'm happy to say, hasn't changed. We still feel like we were born in the contact center, and it sets us apart.
So 7 years, a lot has changed in the AI world in 7 years. I feel like 7 years ago, AI wasn't really as mentioned as it is today, naturally. I mean, every second word that everyone says in the street is AI today. Uh,
Yeah.
how how different was it? Do you think, like, from a product perspective, it's massively changed in the last 7 years to be really focused on what contact centers and the customer service industry is actually needing today?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something that has changed a lot. You're right. 7 years ago, we were building our own machine learning models, right, for automated responses and prediction, things like that, sentiment analysis, and so forth. And basically, when GPT-3 was released, it sort of became like enterprise scale, commercially viable. And then with ChatGPT, suddenly everyone knows what AI is, right? So we used to have to convince people, that they needed AI in their contact center, right? And it was a real uphill battle. Like it was hard to do. Now everyone needs it, and everyone has a budget for it, and they're going, my boss is telling me I need to put AI in my contact center. I just have to figure out what's the right tool. So yeah, it's changed. It's really changed a lot, right? I think before 2022, nobody had an idea what AI was. Really, it was this nebulous term,
Mm.
right? That didn't really mean anything specific, and so there's a lot more competition now. Like you say, everyone, every second word is AI. Going to conferences over the years has been like it's been a remarkable shift over the last few years in terms of just the number of competitors that we have in the space and other adjacent AI offerings. But it's been great. Awareness is good, and the technology is improving, and so as it improves, our product gets better too.
It's actually, as you were talking, I was thinking that these days, or I should say back then, there were so many tools that were actually AI, but as you said, you're trying to convince people that it was. And these days, every other tool is AI, but is it really? Because everything's being AI washed. And if you use ChatGPT to prompt something to create a solution, then you AI wash it as, oh, this is an AI project. So
Right.
it's funny how times have changed in that perspective. But I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of smoke and mirrors today around AI, of what is actually useful, what is an AI solution, and not even to, like, if you want to be a lot more specific, agentic AI these days. Everyone's doing it, right? But is everyone doing it, or is no one really doing it properly? What's Lively's take on it?
That's a good question. You know, I certainly hear stories from customers and prospects. I mean, everyone's getting hammered with, sales emails and calls all of the time from AI companies. I'm hearing, I'm hearing that there's a lot of, it's sort of, we're back to vaporware days in some cases, right? Where you ask for a demo and the salesperson can't do it. They've got to get an engineer to set it up for you, right? That's maybe a sign that it's not that real yet, right? Or the company's kind of in POC days, right? It's a proof of concept, or it's a minimum viable product kind of thing that they're starting to sell. And that's, startups do that, and that's fine, um, right? As long as they can deliver, right? I think that's what really matters. Some of it is certainly real, but our what we've built is definitely real. But there's certainly there's varying levels of maturity out there in the product, and so I would caution buyers to sort of see a real use case, right, before diving in, or just know what you're diving into, right? If you want to be the POC client, there's benefits to that. Sometimes it's price, sometimes it's the ability to innovate with a company right alongside and kind of get a little bit more leverage on what the platform becomes. There's advantages to that, but know what you're getting into. If you want a plug and play platform, make sure you see it live before you sign on, and talk to some of the companies customers, right? One thing that's really interesting, Bryce, I'm not sure if you kind of noticed this at CCW and other conferences this year, is that it feels like a lot of companies have tried an AI solution now, right? Right. Last year it was like maybe 10% or something had some kind of project running. This year more like 40%, but not that many success stories, right? Compared to relative to the marketing. I don't know. Did you are you seeing that as well?
I would say even compared, if we had to compare last year's conferences to this year's conferences, there was a definite shift in messaging, definite shift um, in being very specific, and last year being a very much a focus on let's have a look at it, let's see what it's like, and then this year being the year of okay, let's actually do it. But
Right.
if I speak to all of our customers, I'd say 20 to 30% have actually done anything with AI. And the rest of them are still in the dark. They don't even know where to start. And a lot of the focus is on, or I'd say a lot of the barriers to it is the setup, the implementation, the risk of AI stealing your data and it not being secure. From what I've understood with Lively and with Newton partnering with Lively up to date, is the barrier to entry of implementation is kind of overcome through the platform. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's we've worked very hard on that, right? And so, like, yeah, when you ask the question, um, about what are these other platforms real, right? Is there a lot of technology that's maybe not real yet? I think in a lot of cases the technology probably is real, right? We're all using the same LLMs, right? And so in terms of like what the AI can do, that's sort of standard. How you work with it, certainly you need great technologists to build a good platform. You need to understand like how to build a great user experience to solve the problems in the contact center that you're targeting. But I do think there's a lot of real platforms out there, and where a lot of companies struggle is exactly that. It's the implementation, it's the operationalization of it. We say that a lot around Lively because we know what a big challenge it is, and uh, that's why, yeah, we've developed tools to make it easier for your teams to actually deploy and get real results out of it, right? Um, you know as well as many of our customers do that it's really hard to get technology budget for the contact center, right?
Yeah.
It's like customer care is a cost center. It's an expense. The lower you can get it, the better, while kind of hitting your minimum acceptable threshold for CSAT, right? And customer resolution, loyalty, that kind of stuff, NPS, whatever you're tracking. And so asking for budget for an AI tool for the contact center doesn't work unless you can show it ROI, right? And to
Mm,
show ROI right away, you've got to get adoption of the tool, right? For autonomous AI, right? AI agents, uh, a little bit easier because you're just targeting a volume, and if it works, it works. But even then, does it is it actually or is it actually resolving the contact, or is the human on the other end recontacting your contact center, and so it's not actually taking away as much volume as you expect it to, right? If you expect to resolve whatever 50% of your target volume Wismo calls or whatever it is, then that's great. You might see all that volume go there, and it looks like it's getting resolved, but that same volume does not disappear from your human queue, right? They end up phoning back
mm,
and going, through the IVR straight to a human agent. So like that's the devil's in the details there, and we've certainly seen those failures among some of our clients, which is why we've built operations playbooks so that your TL knows how to manage their agents, making sure they're using the tool, right? Your ops managers know how to read the dashboard, what the tool is doing, what a resolution really looks like, how to look for sort of false resolutions, and then right down to your QAs, your trainers. It really has to be embedded in the entire organization, which is why we're so excited and we're leaning in more to partnerships with BPOs like Newton. And you guys are doing an awesome job of doing that, right? With your innovation lab, you're bringing it right to the front of the sale, right, where you put your technology front and center. Yeah, that sure reminded me. Yeah, put the technology front and center. Make sure your salespeople are aware of what's in the agent's fingertips, and then promise it to your customers so that all your entire team has to follow through on implementing it and getting it to work, and then partner with companies that understand that too, right? And being born in the contact center, we know how hard it is to get agents to adopt a tool that helps them, looks great, good user experience, automates stuff for them, allows them to put their attention back on the customer instead of their tedious note taking and things like that. But some of them still won't use it, and you need tools and levers to pull to drive that adoption. If you don't have that, then your product looks fake. It looks like it doesn't work.
I'd say it even comes down to the phases of adoption, not within that specific client, right? Well, from a BPO perspective, that specific client that's got 20 to uh, 200 agents or whatever, but it actually comes right from the top, right from the most senior stakeholder in your company. And we've seen phases of adoption, like when we first rolled out Lively with some of our campaigns. You know this. There's a the initial thought is that it's saving the agent's time on calls. It's saving the agent's time after calls. It's also helping them with guidance on calls. You'd think that would be enough for people to be bought in and to use it. But if it's not part of your everyday, if it's not, if the training isn't there and the adoption and the championism, I don't even know if that's a word,
Yeah.
if that isn't there from the organization that's installing it and that's embedding it into their culture, then it's not gonna work. Or it might work for 30% of the time. You might not get that 100% or 120% that you've been looking for. So I think that
Right.
operational playbook is somewhat a solution on its own, and that's probably where the devil is in the detail, in the playbook and not in the actual technology.
Yeah.
Controversial opinion.
Yeah. No, not totally wrong. Like the technology, yes, is table stakes. It has to work, right? But it's not quite enough, and it's not intuitive, is it? Like when you deploy technology in the contact center, you're usually deploying telephony, CCaaS, CRM, right, an order management system, right, whatever your admin tool is, or your customer platform. Those are all things the agent has no choice but to use, right? Like required to resolve a case. An agent assist tool is not required to solve a case, right? It's kind of opt in, um, and so that's a new thing for contact centers, I think, right? It's not necessarily intuitive that you'll need to drive adoption and actually work to get ROI out of a tool. So yeah, it's a learning curve, which is why we lean in, and why you say you need top down buy in, because you need leadership looking to operations, and asking, how are you doing with this tool? How's adoption going this week? How are you driving things, right? How are you managing your agents?
Yeah, so let me play devil's advocate for a second and assume that I'm not a massive advocate for AI for efficiency. Um, and people obviously know by now that Newton and Lively are working together on the AI front and making and rolling out Agent Assist for our agents through Lively. And if I wasn't in that scenario and I was a call center agent, what's actually changed? Has anything materially changed? Is it just creating more work for an agent than is worth it from an ROI perspective?
Oh yeah, interesting question. And like it's good the way you phrase that. That is the impression of some agents right off the bat, and even some operations teams, right, who are sort of having this. The decision has been made. You're going to use an agent assist tool now. Yeah, and like they're busy, right? They're not. They're not. These are not easy jobs in the contact center. And so this is another thing that's taking their attention. Effectively, it's sort of net new work for them to manage. Um, so yeah, we do encounter that pushback. It's not a false devil's advocate position by any stretch. The reality is, um, there are. I'll start with the bad side of it, like the harsh reality. There are some tenured agents who are really good at their jobs and don't benefit much from an agent assist tool. They tend to take longer to come around and become adopters. Um, we don't end up with anymore. We've learned the hard ways and we've improved our product, but we don't end up with detractors anymore, like persistently, had Sid on their program for a year and they still think it's not helping. Um, but we do encounter that up front. And the way we've solved it is with, first of all, effective training that actually sells the tool to the agent, not just, hey, here's what it is, here's what it's going to do for you, here's how you have to use it, but like, here are the benefits. And there's some real benefits that were even surprising to us, when we started deploying Agent Assist years ago. And that is when you take away the tedious work from an agent, their attention naturally goes back to the customer and solving the problem at hand. Even if it's not a voice call, it can be chat, it can be email. But if they know that like the note taking or the drafting the initial response is taken care of, they focus on the harder part of the job, which is actually understanding the problem, empathizing with the customer, right? Active listening, and then getting to the real issue, right? So first call resolution goes up. If you're measuring it, we tend to see that go up. CSAT, we see pretty consistently go up like 3 to 5 points on a program when we launch it. And we attribute that to just attention going back on the customer. The calls go better, sentiment goes up, right? Handle time goes down, which actually is a CSAT driver in itself, right? If you get your call or your issue resolved
Yep.
faster and don't get put on hold as much, don't get asked repeat questions because the agent has a live transcript, then you're a happier customer, and then agents are happier too, right? The higher CSAT an agent is getting, the more pleasant their job is. And so these are the things that like compound to turn agents into believers, right? And then they start, because we've personified our agent assist tool and given it a name, right? They start to say things like, "Oh, I love Sid." We do focus groups from time to time with most programs that we launch with, and we ask them, how would you feel if your leadership took Sid away, right? If you can no longer use Sid. And that's kind of a big, it's a big indicator for us. We take that metric pretty seriously, and we see really positive results from that. I mean, like a negative answer, right? Like, I don't want to lose this tool, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, it's like 4.5 to 5, because agents over time recognize that it's really helping them and it's making their job better.
Yeah, I even remember in the early stages of getting to understand Sid and the Lively setup, we had a pilot that ran, and while all the success metrics were there, at like almost 100-second decrease in average handling time pre and post pilot, as well as quality scores going up, when the agents were told that we are not continuing with the pilots, there wasn't a single agent that was happy with that. All of them were like, "What? No, but like it's been helping. It's been so helpful. Like we rely on it now. It's making our calls so much easier. We love Sid, and it is quite funny how they personify Sid so easily.
Right.
But
Yeah,
but
they'll
that's
they'll refer to
exactly
it
that,
as he,
right?
right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not it, it's a he. Like, yeah, it's neat how they view it.
yeah. And I even sat in a training session with one of our other campaigns that are using it, and how they were speaking about Sid as this handsome man, and and he's like, Sid's winking at you, and
Right.
I was like, I mean, you got to know your audience, right?
That's right.
But that was quite funny. But
Yeah.
okay, if we have to go back to the tenured agents, the ones that might not be all that excited to use the tool off the bat, and they say they're more saying this AI is slowing me down, or it doesn't know my process, and I do things quicker by myself. What like how do you what do you do in that scenario? Do you adapt the tool? Do you adapt to like focus on their strengths? Because some AIs are very like out of the box, very rigid. You can't change it. Is that the same on your guys' side?
Yeah, great question. So no, I mean, ours, we designed Sid Studio, which is our backend configuration tool, to be really accessible, really easy to use, um, and flexible. I think that's like number one. So yeah, that does happen. There's two things that we do. One is we learn from those agents, right? So if they're good, right? If they're a tenured agent and they're good at their job, we learn from them, right? We go, okay, well, how are we missing on like the way we've configured case notes for you, right? Or the way your leadership has configured the automated case notes for you, right? What are we missing? Oh, I always have to edit this point. Okay, great. We'll make a quick configuration change, right? A change, basically, like think of it as a change to the prompt, right, for the summary, and now it's better for everyone, right? And that's the real power for it's kind of a bit of a tangent, but that's the power of an agent assist tool is you can take what your best agents do and then help your entire agent force to do that same thing with things like real time guidance. And so that's the first thing we do is learn from them. The second thing we do is adapt to them if it's warranted. And so that's why you can create user groups in Studio based on tenure, right? And so anyone over 180 days, 360 days, whatever it is for your program, in tenure can get a completely different set of real-time guidance, right? They don't need to be reminded to validate the customer. They've got that every single time. They don't need to be reminded of all the standard policies. But the agents who are in their first 3 months, they need the help. And so that can really, cutting out the guidance that they don't need can really help with the perception of like, this isn't useful, right? Because, um, you know, their their job is the reality of the job is it's kind of repetitive and they form
Mm.
habits. And if they find that 70% of the guidance that you offer them is not useful, they get in the habit of just clicking dismiss and they don't get that 30% that's actually going to help them. And so we tune the tool for them.
I love that. And I've firsthand seen it in adapting something as simple as the case notes to be very, very specific to a certain template, to a certain case file, to a job alerts. And I think that that level of detail does not go unnoticed from an agent and making their life a little bit easier. But let's pause for a second. I've got some rapid fire questions for you. So the rules of the game is I'll ask the question. You have less than 5 seconds to answer. And you can use one word, 2 words, 3 words, a whole sentence, whatever it be, just straight off the mark. Are you ready?
All right, big shift from my long-winded answers so far. Let's do it. Hit me.
Oh, and don't worry, it's not going to be any like I don't know like your best subjects were at whatever in university or school. So there's going to be no complex algebra in this, thankfully.
Good. That's good. You nailed it.
Okay. What would your superpower be?
uh, Engaging in direct conflict that's effective and doesn't offend people.
Okay. What is your go-to guilty pleasure snack?
We have there's an ice cream shop like a kilometer away from me in Winnipeg. This is more than 5 seconds, but quick plug. They're not paying me, but Chebon ice cream in Winnipeg is like the best ice cream in the world. They have a flavor called Donny Dark Cocoa because I'm a huge dark chocolate fan. Donny Dark Cocoa Chebon ice cream.
Okay, I'm gonna have to come visit now just for that ice cream plug.
Yeah,
What is lively in one word?
this is way harder than it sounds. Useful.
Okay. I wasn't too sure if I'd lost connection there for a second because you stood remarkably still for a good amount of time there. Um,
I was trying
if
not to hum the whole time.
if your okay, this is an interesting one. If your job had a theme song that played every time you walked into the office, what would it be?
Uh, you know what? Just because it's our office, our CEO Jeff Fettis is a huge Marvel fan. Our entire office is decorated in like Marvel wallpapers. Our meeting rooms are like Wakanda and other Marvel universe worlds. So I would probably pick like uh, Spider-Man theme, like classic Spider-Man theme song.
Okay. Okay. And then last one is in one word, what do you want agents to feel when they use Lively?
Uh, I actually I don't want them to think about it much. I just want them to I want them to be delighted that it's doing what they need it to do when they need it.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I love I'm a big Marvel fan myself, so I need to come visit your office.
Yeah.
Uh, so maybe to round things off, Jans, if you were advising a company to purchase AI for their contact center, what do you think is the number one mistake that they are more are they, that they're likely to make? What would that one mistake be?
Yeah, I think like we've identified like three key barriers to success with AI. I can choose one of them. The three barriers are strategy, integration, and adoption. And adoption is actually the biggest one that we solve. But that's not on the shopping side, right? That's on the execution side. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's strategy. Like if they're going to make a mistake in their procurement process, um, there's two ways it can go. You can you can buy a tool that does too little, and you're going to end up going through multiple procurement processes, right? And it takes a while, right, to make a decision, to get approval, to buy it, to implement it, right? Most tools don't take days or weeks; they take months, and so you can end up having to buy multiple platforms, and you're going to end up uh, kind of rebuilding your tech stack at some point when you realize you're overpaying for overlap, right? A lot of us are ending up trying to solve the same problems, right? Every kind of AI platform is sort of expanding what they do, but I think we're all doing that because we see that um, customers want like as few tools as possible, right? Not as many as possible. So
Mm,
that's one mistake, is just not considering, a year or so out, and like what AI is going to do for your contact center, and having to end up with multiple tools. The other one is planning for way too long, and I think that's the more common mistake, is engaging in months or years long planning. We've been talking to some customers or some prospects who are not yet customers for literally years, and they're missing the boat, right? They're not capturing savings just because they're afraid to do something. So I would say pick a platform that does a good amount of things, and then just do something with them to start, right? Like start with something. Um, there's we have a client who engaged in a very expensive consulting project, right? Where they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for consulting, maybe it's seven figures. They end up with a project that is going to be a 12 months long implementation, which always turns into 18 months. And at the end of it, if you don't see the right results from that, you have lost not only all of that money, but a ton of time. And the tool has often moved on by the time you implement it, right? The technology has moved on by the time you implement it. So you've got to have a bit of a long term strategy, but don't try and create one that's perfect. Just start doing now.
one thing that I took out of that, or not, I wouldn't say the most important thing, because you said some really really awesome things there, but that thing of just do it. Uh,
Yeah,
don't take like the planning for it can't take longer than the implementation, right?
that's right.
Um, but if I would answer the question that I asked you, something that I would also plug Lively that is very unique that I've seen is the way that it's set up that doesn't require integration. I think that's often the inhibits to many to then it's the reason for so much planning because of dev capacity that's needed and all of that. And I think the non-integration, but the understanding that agents are living with many different systems. Some of them are proprietary CRMs that don't interact well and play well with other systems. So having the ability to overlay something across all of them that doesn't require complex integration is an absolute win.
Right. Yeah, and we did that because we felt the pain of looking at all of these customers within our walls when we were in a BPO, and going, all of these tech stacks are totally different. It's going to take us forever to build all these integrations, right? And they don't have the budget, and often they don't have API endpoints for us because they've got homegrown tools. They've got no IT resources for this either. So we just have to be able to work with everything. And that's where that integration barrier that I mentioned a few minutes ago comes in. Like we've solved that by building a tool that doesn't require APIs, right? It sits on the desktop. It grabs the
Mm.
conversation stream from the audio, or it scrapes it from the desktop tool or from the browser tool that the agent is already using. And so plug and play, right? You can get going in weeks instead of months and months. And then also, you don't have to have your entire strategy figured out. You don't have to plan an entire replatform, right? You don't have to look at which CCaaS tool has the greatest AI agent roadmap or agent assist roadmap, right? Because you know you've got a tool that will map onto whatever you end up with, including your current tech stack. And if you switch it one day, we'll be ready to go for when you, when you implement it, when you roll it out.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it, and really value the partnership between Newton and Lively, because it is truly making the contact center an easier place to navigate, making agents' lives on customer service calls, which is, I sat and listened to countless of them. It's difficult. It's not an easy landscape for an agent to be in. And I want to say superpower in the bottom right corner of their screen pop up and help them on calls is extremely valuable. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing, and looking forward to this continued partnership.
Likewise, very, very mutual, Bryce. Yeah, we love what Newton is doing. You guys are embracing technology kind of at the, at the leading edge. That was a perfect repositioning there to focus, because I was just going to mention your innovation lab. What you guys are doing, we haven't seen anyone else do, and yeah, we really value the partnership too. I think we're gonna do more great things together.
You've been listening to The Global Experience, conversations that connect innovation, strategy, and transformation across customer service, collections, and experience. Stay inspired, stay customer-centric, and keep driving the change that matters. Until next time, this has been The Global Experience.